podcast.
And happy holidays. Hope you're having a great day and winter break. Okay, so welcome to the Gold Room podcast with your hosts Sophia Garcia and Taskin and Sophia. Tune in as we interview those affected by childhood cancer, gather perspectives, and help others find comfort in their expertise.
Today we'll be discussing what makes people want to get involved with helping kids with cancer. We chose to talk about this topic, for me specifically, was because I thought it was important to gather different perspectives, and because we can gather all these different insights, it'll help us better find other ways and getting other people to help us as well. And I think it's important to compare and contrast our perspectives with theirs.
And personally for me, I'm also just interested to hear why other people choose to get involved, because only knowing my perspective can sometimes be limiting. And I think that because one intent of our podcast is to help cancer survivors and patients, it's important that we use other people's perspectives as well as our perspectives to try to find ways to get other people more involved.
In terms of why I wanted to get involved in helping kids with cancer was because I came across several pages on TikTok and Instagram that honestly made me want to help kids with cancer more. I felt a great sympathy for them, and I also had a grandfather who died from cancer, so I felt like it was necessary for me to help kids with cancer.
Yeah, I have like similar experiences, like just seeing it like everywhere on social media, and also having like classmates and relatives with cancer. You like it just makes it more personal, and I feel like that just made me want to make a difference and get more involved just by seeing like how it affected people around me. And like for specifically why I wanted to join Cancer Kids First and the podcast, I've just always been interested in content making. Like I had a YouTube channel. It's a little embarrassing when I was younger. And I feel like just for me, like podcasts have always been really helpful, like on a personal level. Like for example, like I love listening to Emma Chamberlain's podcast about mental health. Like that's just really been helpful. So I feel like from like listening to those different podcasts, I've just seen how podcasts can be really helpful in like sharing your thoughts and also just reaching other people. So I feel like they're really good for making a big difference. And because of the impact I wanted to make, and especially with kids with cancer, because of how large of an issue it is. So yeah, just like when I heard about the podcast like application, like I just really wanted to apply because I thought that it'd be a great way to make a difference and also just share my opinions with other people. And like because Cancer Kids First I found out through TikTok, so that was just some way I thought could be like easier to get involved, because I feel like also it being run by teens made it less intimidating and made me more inspired to help, because making a difference with such a large issue can sometimes seem like intimidating. So I feel like Cancer Kids First makes it seem like achievable to make a difference, and they also make it really easy to get involved. So yeah.
I listened to Emma's podcast too, and honestly, I love them so much. And I realized like how much of an impact her podcast have on me. So I want to have that same impact on others too. And I also thought that being able to spread information and different insights specifically on cancer would help cancer patients a lot. And also because I've done podcasts in the past, I felt like this would be an easier, I guess, role rather than like any other parts in this organization.
Mm-hmm.
And in terms of were there any experiences that caused me to help with cancer, I've had a grandfather who had cancer, and I've seen how it mentally impacted my grandmother and my mother. He died before I was born, so I wouldn't really know, but I've seen how much like the long-lasting impact cancer has on a family, and so I felt like that was something worth mentioning.
Yeah, I've also had family members with cancer. I did have a grandfather with it, and also like just people in my elementary school, even like, so just from a really young age, I've just been kind of exposed to it. And I feel like it's somewhat fear, like, because you obviously don't want to have it and it's like scary. So yeah, I feel like just being exposed to it at a really young age, like it just kind of made me want to get involved, because I just saw how much it impacted people around me. And I feel like at such a young age, like cancer is usually a topic, like how we mentioned with our first episode with Michelle, like cancer is a topic that's kind of hidden from kids because it's scary. And like I feel like because I kind of have had it around me, like, and just like heard experience of it and seen like how it impacts people, that just really made me want to get involved. And because of like the people around me that had it, like it wasn't hidden from me. So yeah, like just in terms of, like, do you think that it's like do you think that it makes sense why like cancer is a topic that's like often hidden from children?
So I do think a lot of times the topic of cancer is hidden from kids, specifically because like it's something really scary. But I think it also has the negative impacts from that. A lot of times because children don't know about cancer and they don't have any knowledge behind it, they'll tend to not understand anything of cancer, and they'll go ahead and go bully other kids because they don't have any knowledge in it. So I do think that's a problem, and I don't think it's because they're eventually going to grow up and learn about cancer. So I feel like, and they're going to be surrounded with people with cancer. It's going to be inevitable. You're going to meet someone with cancer. So I feel like why not just teach them from a young age, because a lot of like the ignorance that people have now, it stems from a young age that could be prevented.
Yeah, and also like just in terms of like educating at a young age, like if you know more about cancer, like it's also like just for in terms of like diagnosis, like if you know more about it, it's could make it a lot safer. Like for instance, like if you had symptoms or something like that, because I feel like a lot of reasons that there are cases where there's not that high of survival rates is because like there's late diagnosis. So I feel like if it's kind of introduced more, not that it should be like not that you should try to scare people with it, but like I think it should just be a topic that's like well known about. So like in terms of like how my environment or like the area I live in impacted my decision to help, I feel like just the area I live in is like pretty proactive in terms of like getting involved in the community and like volunteering and stuff like that. So I feel like that's just kind of always been an idea in my mind, like how I just wanted to get involved. But in terms of like I think just the environment I grew up in, like just having people around me who have had cancer, like that just made me more inclined to be involved with cancer specifically. But just in terms of like helping others, like I feel like that's just been like around me a lot, and just seeing how other people want to be proactive with so many issues in the world, and also like just on like social media, like just seeing how proactive people want to be with certain issues like climate change and things like that. Like it just makes you want to get involved and find something you're passionate about. So yeah.
I feel like the entire area that I'm in, it's kind of isolated, and oftentimes we don't talk about helping others. It's often like just for yourselves, like one man for themselves. But like within my community specifically, we do advocate for helping others and like community, um, and helping specifically like with people that have illnesses like cancer, and helping mentally. Um, so I do feel like area does have an impact on it, but not like a huge impact. But if we're talking about like area as in like being surrounded with people with cancer, I've seen my grandfather, he has died before me, so I wouldn't really know. But like my mother and grandmother, they're like a huge part of my life, and I've seen how much it's impacted them. So I feel like that also kind of encouraged me to like help others, and they're like a part of my area. Um, and just seeing like in general, seeing people suffering like within my area, specifically maybe because of like an illness, or especially because of the pandemic right now. That also kind of like encouraged me to help people, and specifically because I've had an interest in helping others with cancer for so long, I felt like maybe it was important to like some way find a way to help others with cancer.
Yeah, and also like just I like didn't even think about this, but just with the pandemic, like I feel like because we were home so much more and there was like online school and things like that, like we were exposed to so much more on the internet, and the internet was like such a big part. So even like I'm pretty sure I found out I found out about cancer kids first like last year through the internet. And if there hadn't been the pandemic, like I don't know if I'd be had been on my phone like that much to like have seen it. So I feel like just like what you're exposed, not even just environment and like where you live in, but just what you're exposed to as a result, like access to internet and things like that, like that impacts it so much. Because like even if you don't have personal experiences or don't have people around you with it, like just seeing what other people go through on the internet, and like seeing how other people are making a change on the internet, like it just inspires you to make a change as well.
Yeah, you brought up actually a really good point about the internet. I think internet's like a huge part of our life, and in this question, area doesn't have to technically refer to exactly like the environment you live in, or maybe like what state you live in. It can just be like what you're exposed to, just like how you said that. And honestly, you're right. Like the pandemic, because of the pandemic, I was on the internet, and because of the internet, I was exposed to so many stories based on childhood cancer. There's a specific childhood cancer that I've been following, like even now, and because of them, I was like encouraged to help others because I was seeing like these kids who like deserve like a normal life, not having to be in the hospital in and out every single time. And because of the internet, I've like learned to feel sympathy for them and like just see their lives, and actually feel like I need a part in helping them.
Yeah. And also like I feel like just thinking about like the differences between people that may be more knowledgeable in cancer and may not be, like some people may want to, or maybe they may not even know like that much about cancer because they don't have like access to internet and things like that, and that's like where you get so much knowledge. So because of that, I feel like it's important that like adults and like parents and stuff like that like kind of introduce the ideas like of cancer and other just important topics like early on, because some people may not be able to like gain access to that through the internet and want to get involved with their own, so it's important for like adults to inspire them too.
Hi.
Hi.
Today we'll be discussing the topic of what makes people want to get involved with helping kids with cancer, along with Amanda Kaplan, who is the event head of her Cancer Kids First chapter. Amanda, would you like to introduce yourself any further?
Yeah, hi. So I'm Amanda. I'm actually the event head for all of Cancer Kids First. I don't run a chapter, but yeah, I do the events for all of Cancer Kids First, along with one other person. We've held a lot of events this year, and we're really excited to hold a lot more.
So like in terms of like why we want to discuss this topic of like what makes people want to get involved with helping kids with cancer, like we wanted to kind of learn more of why other people want to get involved to try to like find ways to encourage others. And also just like personally, I feel like I have a limited perspective when it comes to why I want to get involved, or like unique experience. So like I'm just interested to see why others would want to get involved.
Yeah, so being an event head, obviously I'm talking to all the volunteers a lot. So I really get a good insight of what they like. So I know for them, a lot of them get involved because they really want to help their community, but they don't have an outlet to kind of figure out a way to help their community. And I think Cancer Kids First kind of provides that for them. They are able to like go and do all the events and look at the social media and all of that type of stuff, and they're able to connect with patients and do different events that really do impact their community, and it's all kind of set up there for them. So I think they're able to really enjoy Cancer Kids First because it's a great way that they know they're helping, and it's something that would really interest them.
Yeah, I do think that getting perspectives on everyone really will show us the similarities and differences between them, especially from someone who is the event head of this organization. I think it's important to have your perspective on it.
Yeah, of course. So for me, I joined because I've always heard of like Cancer Kids First. I've known of it since I was a little kid. Not that little, but like, from when it first started, I've heard of it. I just never could like figure out where it was or like how to join or anything. And I just happened to be scrolling on Instagram one day and I found it and I was like, all right, like I'll follow, whatever. I'll just see. And I personally run a lot of different medical stuff within my school and in my community. So that's what like first interests me because I'm really interested in cancer itself, and also just helping my community because I'm really involved in volunteering. So I reached out through DMs, and I reached out to just like I think it was like the social media manager. And I just said, hey, I want to get connected. Like, what can I do? They connected me with Olivia, the owner of Cancer Kids First, and I started off as the New Jersey ambassador, and it just grew from there, which was really amazing experience. And I literally liked Cancer Kids First because there was so much opportunity to grow, And I feel like personally I have a lot of like individual like creative like opportunities, so I'm able to like kind of implement whatever idea I might have. So that's like a really good opportunity for me, because it's like I love to volunteer, but here I'm able to kind of like lead some volunteering as well, which I do in other opportunities that I do. But in Cancer Kids First, it really allows me to like directly impact people instead of just like the community as a whole. Like I do both of them, so I really like it because of that.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I feel like because of how large of an issue cancer is, like it can seem like not very easy to help. Like, and a lot of people may get overwhelmed by that. But I feel like Cancer Kids First makes it really easy to get involved in little ways, and that like encourages a lot of help. So that's good.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, do you think the area you live in, like, possibly had an impact on why you wanted to get involved?
So the area that I live in personally, it does have a lot of people volunteering, but the thing is, the people in my area do volunteer mainly for volunteer hours for their school. And I think through Cancer Kids First, I was actually able to encourage more people to volunteer because of the organization. I think they started to realize that there was more to volunteering besides just, gaining hours for your transcript or anything like that. So I don't think that my area particularly influenced me, but I think the organization has started to influence other people to start to volunteer for bigger reasons than just for their transcript.
So the area doesn't particularly affect you or impact you, but do you think that for other people, area does impact them?
Oh, absolutely. If you not even area, but like area, yes, because it depends on how many people are really interested in Cancer Kids First, or just in general, like, or volunteering, because you can have a really great chapter in some places. Like, no matter where you live, I would definitely reach out and kind of see if there's any chapters near you, because those chapters are doing a lot. And obviously, Cancer Kids First has like the main like volunteering for everyone, but also those chapters are really great areas to meet people within your area that are interested in the exact same thing you are. But also, like, the area that you live in, maybe you have friends or family who has been impacted by cancer. So specifically kids, but just generally anyone. So knowing personal stories from people and people from your area really also like has a big impact on how you feel like you can volunteer and help them.
Do you think that knowing personal stories made you involved in helping kids with cancer? Are there any other reasons why you wanted to get involved with helping kids with cancer?
Yeah, so personal stories definitely did help. I don't know any I don't know personally any pediatric patients that of my family that have cancer, but I do know a lot of people with cancer, so that definitely had a large impact. But for kids specifically, is because obviously I was just scrolling on Instagram again one day, and I just saw a few pages of like some pediatric cancer patients, and I followed them. I just like kind of wanted to see their journey, and I was like, I really want to help these kids, like if I can, because their stories were so interesting to me. So, Cancer Kids First has all these connections to all these like amazing kids. So, you know, through Cancer Kids First, I was able to like help these individual kids, which is really awesome. And then, Instagram's a really great place to like find out more people who need help. So, yeah.
And like, I also found out through about Cancer Kids First through TikTok. So I feel like social media is a really big part of it. So like, do you think that possibly like accessibility to internet and things like that could have an impact on like,
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, I couldn't find it for a long time because I knew there was something called, like, I knew that a few people had mentioned me there was this thing called Cancer Kids First, and I just like I didn't quite look too hard for it, but I was kind of interested in it. But the reality is, like, if you just look up on Google, Cancer Kids First comes up as the first thing. Like, it's very accessible because it has a pretty good social media footprint. So I would say it's really convenient social media, and it really helps out because on Instagram you can look up not only like the main page, but you can also look up individual chapters as well for your area. So you can look up like Cancer Kids First. Let's say you live in, I don't know specifically where we have. I know we have one in Middletown, New Jersey. So like, let's say you live in Middletown, you can look up Cancer Kids First Middletown. And on the website, it has all the information you need to know.
Totally agree. I haven't personally come through this organization on social media. I was actually scrolling through TikTok and I've seen like multiple childhood cancer stories, specifically one that kind of interests me. And I tried to go online and search up ways in helping kids with cancer, because after going through so many stories and following so many stories on Instagram, I started to realize that like it's so important to help people with them. And so as you said, it's so accessible. So that was the first result that came up when I searched for it. And then after that, I just joined. So honestly, I appreciate internet for like helping me find an organization this big to help people with cancer. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So just like kind of to end it off, do you have any advice to like anyone that wants to get involved or may think like it's too overwhelming, and just kind of how to start?
Yeah, I would say definitely like reach out. Just reaching out will get you involved in exactly how you need to be involved. So to like simplify that, you just reach out to Instagram, or you can probably message on TikTok too. If you literally just reach out and say, hey, I want to get involved, we can get you involved in any way. So you don't have to take like a huge, because obviously my position, there's a lot of time that goes into it and a lot of different things that go into it, but you can also take like a smaller role. Like you can just be but you can become a volunteer and don't have to lead stuff if you don't want to. So if you just reach out, there will be somebody who can help like place you in the right area that you want to help. And if you have any ideas, we're totally open always to like ideas, and we can implement it for you to happen. If you like, oh, I want to do whatever, we can definitely do it. So we're always looking for like great volunteers. And as you like, I would also say something that's really important is the more work you put in, the more like noticeable you are. So like if you put in more and more volunteering, we're like, hey, this person's like really good actually. Like let's see if they want a higher position, because that's exactly what happened to me. And it's not like you have to go and talk to like the highest of the organization right from the start, like what happened to me. You can reach out to me if you want. Once you get added to a group chat, you have direct access to myself or the other person. You most likely have direct access to me just because that's how it's working right now. So I can help place you and find events that work for you. So there's always someone to reach out to help and find something.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today and for like coming to the interview in such late notice. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Thank you so much. Your insights were so helpful.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
So I feel like an interview is really important for this type of episode because we're trying to get different people's perspectives. And I feel like just from hearing her perspectives, like I found some similarities between like our perspectives and like just specifically like why we wanted to join Cancer Kids First and why we wanted to get involved. Like kind of just having like people that volunteered near us and just having like the idea of volunteering near us. I feel like that just really inspired me. And also like in like why I specifically wanted to join Cancer Kids First, like just seeing like how active they are on social media, and like it just seemed really easy to get involved. And how Amanda was talking about like how they have a really good social media footprint. Like I feel like it's really easy to get involved in such an issue that can seem like so big and so hard to get involved in. And like you may not think you can make an impact because of how large of an issue it is, but I feel like just like having the social media there, like it just makes it seem a lot more accessible. Also just because of how much time we spend on social media today.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I did expect that the similarities would include somewhat the social media platforms, because she mentioned how through social media she was able to come into contact with it, especially because of how big this organization is. And as she said, like it leaves like a digital footprint on the internet. And so I think social media does play a huge part in it, and like that's the similarities between our perspectives. But one thing that she did mention was like how within their community, everyone like volunteers and just wants to help others. That's a difference for me specifically because I don't I don't really know a lot of people here that like volunteer or like go ahead and go try to like help others, specifically with like cancer. I don't really know anyone like that. And so I think like social media was like the biggest influence for me in order like to get me to help others for cancer.
Yeah, I also think like there are different, a lot of different like volunteering clubs around me and stuff, but like specifically about cancer, like there wasn't that much. So like just again, social media like just was really important for that. And like another difference I feel like was just like one of the main reasons I wanted to get involved was because I had like known people with cancer around me my entire life, and I feel like if I hadn't had those like experiences around me, I wouldn't have felt like as personally like I wouldn't have felt so much of a personal need to help. But I feel like seeing like how it really impacts people around you, like that just makes a big difference. And I yeah, so that was like kind of different from my experience, and I like hadn't really thought about like how different it would be for people that hadn't really had that, because I feel like it's shielded at a young age. But yeah.
Yeah, I think that too. Like a lot of times it's hidden from young kids, especially within my community. Honestly, like I don't see a lot of people talking about cancer. And like another point you brought up, like the volunteer clubs. Like I don't really think in my school we have anything that includes clubs specifically on helping people with cancer, which is honestly like a disappointment because I think because cancer is honestly such a huge thing, and it's not something rare. Honestly, like you can see anyone like with cancer, anyone could get cancer, and so I felt like it's important to have a club or something for that. So it is kind of disappointing to not have that, and I feel like maybe that was one of the difference because like from what Amanda said, it does seem like that there are clubs around her or like medical programs that like help specifically on cancer. And so I think that's something my community could learn from, have programs or clubs specifically on cancer.
Yeah. So I feel like based on like what we've said, like most of like why we wanted to get involved was like having people around us have it, but like with we've seen like now from like other perspectives that like a lot of it is just kind of how much like how easy it is for you to get involved in your area. And I also think that like we're all like pretty similar ages, like we're in like our teenage years, so I feel like that also has a role in it too, because at least for me, like I feel like being so young, it just seems like you can accomplish a lot, and like there's just a desire to be like proactive and like try to do different issues, like just seeing like how other people, like for example like Greta Thunberg, like towards climate change, like just seeing like I feel like just seeing how other teens like help throughout the world, like that's just really inspiring. And like because of how closely connected everyone is through social media, like it just I think that has an impact on it too. So yeah, I just think like age, like just because of how young we are and how we think, like how much we think we can accomplish, I think that plays a large role in it too.
Yeah, honestly, I do think that too because we've seen like so many teenagers hoping for change, and I feel like we're all like the same age, like relatively the same age, and I do feel like because of the way we think, like how we want to create change, that also like impacts why we want to help people because it's like we want to help people. We as teenagers, we're like starting to realize like all these problems within the world and like how we want to fix them because we're like the next generation. So like it's important to spread awareness for that.
Yeah. And just like one thought that I had, like based off of some things Amanda said, like how she's saying how some people like only join to get volunteer hours, like that kind of made me think about like, are there like some motivations or reasons that people do get involved in helping kids with cancer and like other really large issues like that can be bad? So like, what do you think about that?
Um, that's actually a good point you brought up, honestly. Because like personally, I've seen that like maybe like from school, I've seen how a lot of people they volunteer because the first thing if you were to ask them why they want to volunteer, it's often like I want to volunteer because I'll get volunteer hours or because I have a required amount of volunteer hours that I have to do to graduate. Um, And I find it kind of disappointing because it's like these are real world problems. These are problems that like affect people a lot, and just using it as a mean to like gain volunteer hours seems wrong to me. It's like for us it's like a passion, like to help others, specifically with cancer, because we've seen so many people affected with cancer, and so it feels wrong to go ahead and go say that we're doing it just to gain volunteer hours for our own gain, because it's not for our own gain. We're trying to help people spread awareness to people that don't know about cancer, or like even cancer patients themselves, spread awareness to them. So like I do feel like there are a lot of bad motivations behind them, and there may be like a lot of people that just want to volunteer because like it's expected to, sort of like just like it's seen as something good to help others, but like they don't have the true passion to help, and I feel like there is like a problem with that.
Yeah, like I think the reason that a lot of probably school, like not my school doesn't do this, but I feel like a reason why schools do require volunteer hours is because they want people to like get involved and make a change. And not that volunteering just for volunteer hours won't make a change, but I feel like that's not the best motivation, because if you're really passionate about something, you're going to want to put a lot of effort into it. But if you're doing something just out of like, oh, I need volunteer hours for school, or at least something that's like very prevalent at my school is like, oh, I need to do this for college. Like I need to everything, like a lot of things that people do, they want to do it just for college. And I feel like because of that, like people aren't truly passionate about things, and then like the work that you put in, like you're not going to put in good effort into something if you're not truly passionate about it. So I feel like although it can be like some good intentions, like oh they'll volunteer because it's required for the school, it's like if people aren't volunteering like because they want to or they're passionate about something, like it's not going to make like the largest difference in the end.
Yeah, I feel like that too, honestly, because like so many people are rushing to like volunteer, like, oh, I have to volunteer in this or volunteer in this, but they don't have any passion behind it, and so and they're just worrying about like whether or not like colleges will like what they're doing. But like I feel like in the long run that's not going to help, because if you're really passionate about something, it'll go on for a long time. It'll go on for a long period of time. It won't just be a span of like 4 years. Specifically because you want to do good in college, and you want colleges to see that you're like really passionate about something. And I feel like if we were to turn that motivation around, like turn the motivation of gaining volunteer hours into actually wanting to help people, it'll actually be benefit a lot of people, because in the long run we're going to be helping so many other people in a long time span rather than a short time span, specifically just to help people, just to help ourselves. Because a lot of times what people do is they volunteer, and then once college comes around, they put that aside, and it just is disappointing, because if they were to really be passionate about it, that passion could last them like a long time span, and that long period of time could help so many people.
Yeah, and also like I guess like another like an alternative idea about it, like maybe a reason that people don't get involved is because like they think that the issue is too large or too overwhelming, and like the scale of an issue like can make people not want to get involved, or it could also make them have like bad motivations, because even if they're like, oh, I want to help this issue, like if they let the scale of the topic like at hand like kind of, it can, I feel like it can make, it could be not that motivating if people get too overwhelmed by how large an issue is, which is why I feel like organizations like Cancer Kids First are really important, because you see like how many people are helping, and it makes you feel like you can actually make a difference. So
yeah, I agree with that. Honestly, I do get like why maybe they don't want to join, because it's overwhelming. Like it's such a huge topic, and like if we're talking specifically about cancer, it's such a huge topic, and honestly, sometimes people might think that like their little actions won't help in the cause, but honestly, it does help. And like how you said, these organizations, they like Cancer Kids First, they help so much, and it just shows how much power teenagers truly have, and like how even like the smallest voice, like it can eventually become bigger and help so many people, and so many people can join. Like this organization, it started off small, but like now look at how big it is right now, and so many people are in it, so many people are trying to help, and they're creating a difference every single year. So it honestly, like, it's normal to feel overwhelmed. I get that, but it's also important to realize that your small actions can actually, like, honestly motivate you to do better, and to create better things, like create a whole organization maybe to help others.
We want to give shout outs to the people that participated in our trivias, which were held on December 5th and December 19th. So we have trivia every other Sunday. So if you want to get involved, make sure to go to our Instagram profile, which is the Gold Room Podcast, and you can participate and hopefully get shout out in a future episode.
So we have Sapna at SAPNA Dance 1.
We also have the person that was featured in this episode today, Amanda Kaplan, at DancerK_0223.
Then we have Liesel at LIESLMAUREN.
And we also have an honorary mention, Lauren Smith at _legend_of Lauren_. They got 3 or more trivia questions right for both trivias, so thank you for participating in both.
Then we have at ecram.ben_.
And then we have CKF.Columbus, which is the Columbus chapter of Cancer Kids First.
And then we have our own organization, Cancer Kids First, at Cancer Kids First.
And speaking of Cancer Kids First, if you or someone you know are looking to support childhood cancer patients and help them to experience a better childhood, but don't know how, Cancer Kids First may be the answer for you. Cancer Kids First is a nonprofit organization started by high schooler Olivia Zhang that aims to improve the childhoods of cancer patients. And through volunteer work, donations, fundraising, and the creation of this podcast, those working with Cancer Kids First work to further its mission. If you're interested, go to www.cancerkidsfirst.org/get-involved to get involved.
Another way to support the mission of Cancer Kids First is to listen to this podcast and follow us on our Instagram and TikTok at The Gold Ribbon Podcast and Twitter at TGR_on-air. You can also get in touch with us through our email, thegoldribbonpodcast@gmail.com. Episodes will be airing 2 times a month.
Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the Gold Ribbon Podcast.
If you have any ideas or what to be involved with future episodes, make sure to check out the link in our Instagram bio.
Have a nice day, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Bye!